What's going on, beautiful people? Good morning. I'm about to go to work and I just wanted to talk with you guys in this video about what my experience in Saigon, living in Saigon, Vietnam was like. I lived there for almost 2 years. Just wanted to make this video to kind of give you guys an idea of what, you know, to expect if you're thinking about going to live there. And just to kind of give you guys some points of view from my perspective. I just want to say I appreciate you guys watching these videos, and I wake up in the morning and I think life is good, really good, and I just appreciate everything. I especially appreciate you guys giving this video a like, subscribing if you haven't already, clicking notifications for more videos like this. Also, I enjoy talking with you guys in the comment section below. A question that I would like to discuss in today's video is, have you ever lived abroad before? And if you have, what was your experience like living abroad and what did you learn? And especially since this topic is about my experience living in Vietnam, if you guys have experience living there as well, I'd be interested to hear your story and your perspectives as well. So without further ado, let me go ahead and I'm gonna start cooking. So what was my experience when I first arrived in Saigon? What was it like? Well, to be honest, it was to me it was like an adventure. Like probably what it'll be like to most of you is, you know, the first few months is like the honeymoon period. You know, like just like when you're in a relationship. You know, like when you go somewhere new. Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. But I will say this about Saigon, or Ho Chi Minh City, is that the first few months was exciting, but they were very stressful. And they were very stressful because the nature of life there, the lifestyle is fast-paced. And particularly with the motorbikes, the traffic, and when you first arrive there, it'll look like, you know, chaos, the way that people drive there, but it does make sense. There is kind of like maybe a scoping system. There is a way in which these things flow, but you know, to someone who hasn't seen it before, it'll look like chaos. So yeah, the first few months was pretty stressful because it took a long time for me to get used to this kind of intense, chaotic environment. Because, for example, like I moved from Ho Chi Minh to Ho Chi Minh City from Chiang Mai, Thailand, and in Chiang Mai it's like the opposite. Chiang Mai is like very laid back. It's very easygoing atmosphere. For the most part, I just walked everywhere. I didn't drive a motorbike when I lived in Chiang Mai for the 6 months that I lived there. And going to Ho Chi Minh City was like the other extreme. So it was a big adjustment. And you know, in the beginning, I translated a lot of my lifestyle of living in Chiang Mai to Ho Chi Minh City, and this made the experience harder or more stressful. So let me give you some examples of how I did this. So there are two things that come to mind, which was for example, when I was looking for apartments in Chiang Mai is like you walk around and you can go inside like apartments or condos and ask them to see some rooms, like on the spot, in most cases. Or you contact the landlords by line and you schedule an appointment. So that's how I found apartments or places to live in Chiang Mai. And in Ho Chi Minh City, I tried to do the same thing, which was a huge mistake. I don't know why at the time I had that idea, but yeah, like I just I just went to some random areas. And keep in mind, the city, Ho Chi Minh City, if you didn't know, it's vast. It's huge. There's like a ton of districts, and especially outside of District 1, there's just a large amount of different districts that you never thought you'd go into or probably knew about. So I would just go to some random districts of where I thought I might want to live. Of course, I looked in District 1, District 3, 10, you know, several different districts, Bintan, whatever. So I just went you know, I booked, I don't know how many nights I booked at this hostel, but I booked a few nights at this hostel called One Ta Hostel. And then basically while I stayed at this hostel, I would go out during the day and go look at several apartments. Now, actually doing this method, I don't recommend this at all because it's very exhausting to walk around, to try to walk around and inquire about apartments. And there's just no structure, you know what I mean? Like, unless you really know the area or where to go, it's hard to find like guidance on where to go to find apartments. I did know one place that was recommended a lot on YouTube and by other vloggers or bloggers about the street. It's quite famous with a lot of newcomers and people that just want to stay or find a place, stay a short time or find a place very quickly, which is called Nguyen Thi Minh Khai Alley 18A. And there's a lot of foreigners that hang out in this area. It's in District 1. So it's quite a convenient location. There's a lot of cool little places in this alleyway where you can hang out, eat, have some smoothies, drink coffee. And it's quite an easy setup for not a very expensive price. So actually I found the better method with finding apartments in Ho Chi Minh City was to look on Facebook groups that were specific to Ho Chi Minh City with apartments and just look through those, and if I saw some that I liked, I would contact them and ask to see the apartment. So that was a much better method. The other thing that I tried to translate to Ho Chi Minh City from Chiang Mai was that, so I walked everywhere in Chiang Mai and I tried to do the same thing in Ho Chi Minh City. And the thing with walking in Ho Chi Minh City is it's very hard to walk there in a lot of areas. Like if you're, I mean, District 1's not that bad, but I would say that it's stressful to try to walk in most places in Ho Chi Minh City because people like to drive on the sidewalks. So it's like you share the whole street with not only the motorbikes that will drive on the sidewalks, especially when there's traffic, or heavy traffic, is also there will be like, you know, people selling stuff, food stalls, just all kinds of stuff, like parked motorbikes in the sidewalk. It's just not a very stress-free environment. It's a very stressful environment in my opinion. And I think a lot of people find this experience to be true because I've seen a lot of people, they'll come to Ho Chi Minh City for the first time and they'll be like, oh, it's great, and the next thing you'll know is like they're leaving already. They're like, oh yeah, I can't handle this environment, it's too much, it's too stressful, it's too chaotic. So, and in fact I even had a couple of friends who I knew in Chiang Mai. After I've been living in Ho Chi Minh City for like over a year, they came to Ho Chi Minh City to try it out, and this happened to them. Like they were like, yeah, it's awesome, it's great when they first got there, right? Because it's the honeymoon period. And just after a few weeks, I don't even think they lasted a month, they were like, oh yeah, you know, we just can't handle it, it's too much, it's sensory overload, it's very stressful, chaotic, we're gonna go to Bali. So I've even had a Spanish friend that lives here now in Bangkok, and he decided to come back to Bangkok because he didn't find the experience in Ho Chi Minh City to be rewarding for him. He didn't like it. Another thing I think people don't like particularly with my Spanish friend, and I've heard a lot of other people complain about, is if you're a nightlife person, you like some exciting nightlife, to stay out past midnight until like the late morning. I think that, I mean, Ho Chi Minh City nightlife, I guess, isn't that bad. It just depends where you want to go. But if you want variety, or like, a variety of places to go and stuff like that late into the night, I think that you might find the experience to be frustrating unless you know where to go, because at least in my experience and from what I've talked to with other people, is it's kind of hard to find good places to go that stay open late past midnight. And a lot of people like will go back home by midnight. Okay, they don't want to stay out too late unless they're like party people. The only place I really know that really stays open late until like early morning for partying is Boy Bien, but I never really enjoyed spending time there, so I always avoided going there. But if you're the kind of person that likes that environment, loud and noisy and chaotic, I mean, Boy Bien is going to be a place for you. Especially, another thing I didn't really like about it was it's quite touristy. So anyways, I went on a long tangent, but I want to say, how long did it... So you're probably wondering, like, how long did it take to adjust to living in Ho Chi Minh City? I think for everyone it's a bit different, and for me it took about 6 months. And even after 2 years, I still couldn't get like completely used to the traffic, and that was actually one of the main reasons for leaving there, ultimately deciding to pack up and finally decide to leave my life there. So it took about 6 months to finally get used to and adjusted with the traffic and the way of life there, and to gain a common sense of like how things flow there. Because like when I first lived there, I got around mostly by using like Uber taxi when Uber was around, Uber motorbike, and then of course Grab. And when Uber left, that was about the time when I started to decide that I should learn to drive motorbike, even though I avoided it all that time. And my friend went away, he left to go travel somewhere, and he let me borrow his motorbike. So luckily that weekend that I borrowed his motorbike, there was a holiday, so there wasn't that much people in the city during the holiday. Most people leave the city, so it's pretty empty, pretty relaxing, and you'll notice the huge difference in air quality, much less pollution. And so I learned to drive motorbike slowly that way. Like I learned mostly like by riding on the back of Uber or Grab taxis, and kind of like the way that they move and stuff. Like I would always, I guess it just kind of got ingrained in my head, like the way that they're driving and like the way that they go. So like, you know, after 6 months or whatever, so months after that, like I kind of like, of course with practice driving motorbike, I kind of, you know, got that in my mind, and that's how I slowly started to drive motorbike. And after I learned to drive motorbike, it changed my lifestyle in Ho Chi Minh City completely. It is a much better experience if you learn to drive motorbike in Ho Chi Minh City, because it's just a lot more, you're just a lot more free, and you'll have a lot more access to things in the city without having to rely on Grab taxi or Grab motorbike. And let me just say that, in my honest opinion, Grab taxi there is not a reliable way to get around. You'll find yourself, I think, at least from my experience and from what I've talked to with a lot of other people, you'll find the experience to be very frustrating, dealing with Grab taxis and taxi drivers in general there. So I don't think this is a reliable way to really get around. But I do know a lot of people that, for example, they work online, and that's how they get around. I do know some foreigners that also have used the bus as a way to get around. But if you're gonna use bus, you have to make sure that you have, you know, a little bit more time to commute, because it takes longer, of course. So okay, so this is a really long video. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about all the things I've said. And remember to subscribe if you haven't already. And I appreciate it if you give this video a like. So anyways, guys, I'll catch you beautiful people in the next one. See ya.